Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to guide you through this one because, honestly, we are looking at a literal game changer in modern digital visibility. For years, we've all been completely obsessed with traditional search engines, right? But that landscape, it's changing incredibly fast. Today, we're diving into the source material behind a platform called AnswerRank, and we're going to uncover exactly how it tackles this wild new frontier of brand visibility. We've got a ton of fascinating ground to cover, so let's just jump right in. Now, I want you to really think about this for a second. Does your brand appear when a potential customer asks ChatGPT or Perplexity? We are so hardwired to stress over our ranking on traditional search engines that we're kind of blind to the new reality. Buyers are taking their commercial questions straight to generative AI now. And if they ask an AI for the best solution in your specific industry and your brand isn't in that generated answer, well, you're entirely invisible. No way around it. This is the new era of search, and getting left out of the AI's response is a massive, massive blind spot for modern businesses. Okay, let's dive into this. To solve this visibility problem, we need to wrap our heads around a totally new concept from our source material: generative engine optimization, or GEO for short. AnswerRank is a B2B SaaS platform built specifically for this exact purpose. So instead of tracking those old-school traditional search links, it tracks whether and exactly how your brand is cited when a user actually asks an AI a commercial question. It's the strategic process of monitoring your visibility and your competitors' visibility directly inside those AI-generated answers. It is a complete paradigm shift, moving away from optimizing for algorithms to optimizing for AI language models. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the shift to geo. Second, setting up your workspace. Third, tracking competitors. Fourth, commercial queries. Fifth, proving ROI. And finally, number 6, we'll cover growth plans. All right, part 1, the shift to geo, a completely new paradigm in brand visibility. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the core difference. Over on the left, you've got classic SEO, where you basically track where your little blue link sits on a search page. But in the AnswerRank Geo model, you're tracking brand citations inside flowing conversational answers. The AI is doing all the synthesizing for the user, giving them a direct answer instead of just a list of links to click. So the million-dollar question AnswerRank solves is simply, did the AI actually recommend you? This isn't just some new vanity metric. It is a fundamentally different way of measuring brand authority in the digital space today. Moving right along to section 2, setting up your workspace, the strategic hub for your brand. Okay, so now that we get the why, let's dig into the how. How does AnswerRank actually organize all this crazy AI tracking data? Well, think of the platform's data hierarchy kind of like a dollhouse, right? We're going to zoom in level by level. At the very top, you have the tenant. That's your overarching organization, basically the main account where billing lives. Zoom in a level, and you find the workspace. This is your strategic brand hub, usually dedicated to just a single brand or one specific product. Zoom in one more level, and boom, you hit the battlefield data. That's the specific companies you're tracking and the queries you're actively testing. It's a super intuitive mental model, which makes navigating complex tracking operations remarkably simple. And the real beauty of this specific data hierarchy, especially the multi-tenant and multi-workspace design, is its pure commercial value. Think about it. If you're a marketing agency or a massive enterprise with a whole portfolio of products, you do not want to juggle 100 different logins. With this, you can seamlessly manage multiple, completely independent tracking spaces under one single organizational account. It scales perfectly, it keeps your data siloed exactly where it needs to be, but keeps it totally centralized for the team actually managing it. All right, on to section 3, tracking competitors, or identifying the enemy. Because here's the thing, you can't just track your own brand in a vacuum. To really gauge your visibility, you have to map out the competitive landscape. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how granular AnswerRank gets with competitor tracking. Inside your workspace, you define your primary company, that's obviously you, and then you list out your competitors. But generative AI doesn't always use your exact official corporate name, does it? It might use an abbreviation, a common nickname, or just a slight variation. By programming AnswerRank to track these AI variations, these aliases, for both you and your rivals, you guarantee you're capturing your exact, true relative market position, regardless of how the AI decides to phrase its response. Which brings us to section 4, commercial queries. Let's map out this battlefield. So we've got our workspace set up, and we know exactly who our competitors are. Now we map the battlefield by defining our commercial queries. Here is a prime real-world example of what we mean by a commercial query. You aren't just typing in your brand name, you are plugging in the exact high-intent questions your potential buyers are actively asking the AI, like, what is the best invoicing software for SMEs in France? When AnswerRank submits that specific question to the generative AI engines, it scans the generated answer to see if your primary brand or your competitors got cited as the ultimate solution. And I've got to say, setting up these queries is a highly strategic process. AnswerRank lets you configure the precise parameters of your battlefield. You don't just drop in the exact question text, you also define the target locale, like French for France, and the specific target country. You could even group these questions into strategic categories and set up priority ordering. This means marketers can target hyper-specific regional markets and segment their product categories with the exact same precision we used to use in traditional local SEO, but now applied directly to generative AI.
Up next, Section 5, Proving ROI, Securing Victory Over Time.
Now, grabbing tracking data today is awesome, for sure. But how do we actually measure our success, trace our history, and demonstrate real, tangible value over weeks and months? Let's move ahead and see how this builds. AnswerRank uses a feature called Configuration Snapshots. Month 1 is your version 1.0. Then, maybe in month 2, you spot a brand new competitor being cited by the AI, so you add them to your workspace. Boom, that generates version 2.0. By month 3, you refine the queries your buyers are using, generating version 3.0. You really shouldn't look at these snapshots as just a boring software log. They literally form a strategic timeline of your evolving AI visibility strategy. And here's the absolute kicker. These configuration snapshots are immutable. They are strictly read-only. Each one gets locked in with a version number, a date, and a checksum. So why does that matter to us? Because in the corporate world, you need perfect traceability. When you have to report back to your team or your clients about why visibility spiked or tanked in any given month, you can point directly back to the exact snapshot of the tracked companies and queries from that exact moment in time. It proves flawlessly what was tracked and when, handing you a perfect historical record to demonstrate your ROI. Finally, Section 6, Growth Plans. Scaling your operations. Look, any enterprise tool is really only as good as its ability to scale alongside your business needs, right? And the source material lays out exactly how AnswerRank handles this progression. They offer a really clean, tiered commercial structure. It starts off with a free plan, which is absolutely perfect for just early AI exploration, just checking to see if your brand even shows up. As your tracking gets more complex, you can bump up to the starter plan, then the growth plan for more established players, all the way up to the enterprise plan, which is designed for that massive multi-workspace tracking we talked about earlier. And importantly, upgrading through these tiers is handled seamlessly via an automated billing system, so organizations can scale up their tracking instantly without ever getting bogged down in messy technical setups. Which brings us to our final big thought for today. The shift from traditional search engines over to generative AI answers isn't just something coming down the pipeline. It is literally already here. Your buyers are already asking these engines for recommendations right now. So the only real question left is, are you ready to track your AI visibility before your competitors do? AnswerRank provides the exact framework you need to map, monitor, and optimize your brand for this entirely new era. Seriously, don't let your brand become invisible in the age of AI. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer today. Keep learning, stay visible, and I will absolutely catch you next time.